I was able to, on the testimonials, use some, because I've been working with buyers and have a lot of testimonials from buyers that I've helped. So I just kind of pulled from some of their testimonials wording that could be used either way for a seller or a buyer.
Yeah.
For the testimonials page. Does that sound okay to do?
That sounds absolutely fine. The reason you're using testimonials in the first place is not necessarily to sell you. In other words, the testimonial doesn't need to be a sales pitch about Robert. The purpose of the testimonial is to demonstrate that there are other people who trusted you, with whom you worked and delivered. You did a good job for them. It's a third-party endorsement. It simply means, hey, other people liked working with me. Other people trusted me. I did a good job for them. You should too. It's because this is based on Robert Cialdini's psychological principles of influence. When people are uncertain, they look up to other people who they deem the same. And whether it's a buyer or seller doesn't really matter. If you can help a client, you can help a client.
Right.
If you're honest, if you know the market, if you know how to help people, if you do what you say you are going to do, that's all that matters. Now, if you can have a specific seller down the road, you're going to get a couple of expireds, and it's specifically, let's say, an expired testimonial or a seller or a for sale by owner, that's fine. But that's a bonus. Because at the end, it really doesn't matter.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So what you got is what you got. Any testimonial is better than none. If you have it from buyers and they say a couple of nice things, they don't need to be long, they don't need to be elaborate, they don't need to be eloquent. On the contrary, the more conversational they are, the better they work. Because they're authentic. And that's really what you're looking for, is authenticity more than anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, that helps.
Totally roll with that. And then when you close a couple of deals with the seller, just sit them down. And what I would recommend is do it 3 ways. First, ask them, so you can use it in writing, but I would also put a camera on them and record their interview. And it can be really short, just a couple of questions. How was your experience? How did you meet Robert? Would you recommend him to somebody else?
Yeah, that could be powerful.
That's super powerful. And then you can use it also in print. You can put it in print with their permission, obviously. So now you're using one client and branch out these testimonials that can help you later. Then you can make it part of your listing presentation as well. If you have the presentation plus, one of the slides there has a little video testimonial that you can incorporate. A few seconds, that's all you need.
Okay, gotcha. The other one, okay, now I know we're supposed to go through our progressions: phone call, visit, and then follow-up. So if we don't have a phone number, then we just go for the visit. What would be the steps, or how would you approach it if they already moved somewhere else and it's like a vacant home?
Okay.
And you don't have a phone number?
If I don't have the phone number and it's a vacant property, there are 2 possibilities. You know where they moved to. It's possible to track down, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes if you mail stuff to the house, it gets forwarded to them. Sometimes somebody, either they or somebody else, picks it up. So do a little bit of research. You know, maybe your title company can help you. There are data providers like Landvoice and RedX and Vulcan. Sometimes they can track these things. Do the best you can with what you've got. Okay?
Okay. So you would recommend, if I do track them down where they moved to, would you recommend, like the resume, would you recommend emailing that to them or putting it in the mail, or both?
Excellent question. I would prefer, if I had a choice and had their physical address, to mail it to them. Even though you're sending them the same information. If you send it as a PDF, it's the same damn thing as the printout.
Right.
It's the perception that's different. If something comes in the mail and has my name on it, and I open the envelope and I thumb through it, my perceived value of that information is much higher than if I just get it as an email. Think about it this way. How many emails per day do you think you get? 50, 60, 80?
Right. It
Tons.
gets glossed over.
And the first thing you're going to do is delete. We all do the same thing. We clean up our inbox first thing in the morning, correct? Especially if it has giant PDF attachment. So the perceived value is not as high. Now, what if you don't have their physical address, but you do have their email? Then email it to them, because that's the best you can do.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean? But the hierarchy should be personal contact first, phone conversation second, direct mail third, email fourth. That's the level of impact these things make.
because the market's hot, there's not a whole lot of expires at the moment. I mean, there's a decent amount, but they're spread out. Now, the ones that are fairly close to me, obviously, I can drive over there in person. Like the plan. Make the call, drive in person. The ones that might be a little farther, just to try and get more listings quicker, or maybe a little too far to just make a drive, just drop off information. Is it recommended maybe to mail the trifold to them still, or should I just focus on only the ones close to me?
That's a really good question, and there really is no simple answer, yes or no. It really comes down to a couple of things. Will your chance of getting that listing, even if you have to drive that far, increase by you talking to the seller in person? And in most cases, the answer is yes. For a couple of reasons. Number one, the face-to-face meeting has way more power in terms of developing connection with the seller than a mail piece or even a phone call.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you have a chance to meet that seller face-to-face, take that. Take that opportunity, even though they may not list right away, but you've already established connection. They already put a face to the name. There's different relationship than if you're just a stranger who mails them something and or talks to them on the phone.
Right.
Okay? Now, here is the problem. If all these listings are spread out, you're going to spend a lot of time driving around.
Right.
Can you make that time efficient, productive? Is there a way to, like, I was in Los Angeles where everything was an hour away. The damn city is like all over the fucking place. And you spend a lot of time driving. So I would do two things. I would never, ever, ever, ever listen to radio. Number one, it makes you feel shitty, especially talk radio. And number two, it's a complete waste of time. I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan. I don't need another damn Taylor Swift song. So I would listen to a lot of books. A lot of books on tape. I would go first to the library when I was broke, and I would just borrow books, all kinds of books, just CDs, and pop those in. And then later, I would subscribe to like Audible and stuff and just listen to good stuff while I was driving. The second, making phone calls. Like I would connect with my sphere of influence, talk to my listings, just spend that time while driving wisely.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. I never even thought about that, audiobooks.
Oh, it's a great way to do that. And plus, LA traffic is notorious, so you just pop that in. It's still time somewhat well spent. And the third thing I would recommend is and this works really well for sell-by owners. Excuse me. You hit a for sale by owner. You have a little conversation with them, and then you say, you know what, Jim? Have you talked to your neighbors about your house? Do they know it's for sale? Do they have a flyer? Would they help you promote it? Most FSBOs will give you that look like, huh? They don't know what you're talking about. And you say, why don't you give me like 20, 30 flyers? Let me go talk to your neighbors. Three things happen instantly. Number one, you completely differentiate yourself. No other agents would ever offer that to a FSBO as far as I know, and I've been teaching this stuff for 20 years. Number two, you provide service, you're helpful to the FSBO instead of bashing them over the head that they should list with you. You're helpful. You're cool to them. And number three, you show that you actively market, prospect, work. You don't sit on your ass all day trying to post silly ads on Facebook. You're actually out there hustling. Especially if for sale by owner seller appreciates agents who work, because it demonstrates what it takes to get a house sold, that you earn your commission. Now you grab 20, 30 flyers from the seller. Here it gets even better. If they don't have a flyer, you tell them, you know what, let me send my photographer, or I'll take a couple of pictures, we put a nice flyer together, I'll promote your house. Blows their socks off every single time. Because nobody else does that. Then you go through the neighborhoods, knock on a few doors, says, you know what, Jim down the street is selling their house, he's going for sale by owner, he's trying to find a buyer. Would you happen to know of anybody who might be interested? Here's some info. You hand them the flyer, have a little conversation. You would be surprised how many people would be helpful and open to helping their neighbor, number one. And number two, who knows, you may find somebody who says, you know what, we're thinking about selling too, what are the homes going for? Right. So you combine the time of talking to one seller by prospecting throughout the neighborhood. You meet some people, you talk to some people, you're out there. It's an active way of generating business. Right. And it doesn't cost anything. Excellent. Even if you have to print the flyers for the FSBO, which they will appreciate, it's going to cost you, what, $5, $10 maybe? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
now you
to build that
accomplished,
rapport.
on the way there, you made some phone calls, you maybe listened to something cool like Tony Robbins or books on tapes or whatever inspires you, helps you. Now you had a conversation with the seller. Maybe you lock him into an appointment. Maybe it's going to be a lead. You're going to put him on a follow-up. You establish connection with them. You did some prospecting. That's a time well spent. I can't think of other ways that would be more productive than doing this. What else can you do that would be more productive, that would have a better chance of securing listings? I can't think of anything.
Right.
Other than work in your sphere of influence, which you can do on the way. You can have a few phone calls with people. Hey, just want to touch base with you. Haven't talked to you in a couple months. How was your summer?
Right.
Anything I can do to help, please let me know. You know?
I did just start running some home value Facebook ads, which are starting to generate a lot of leads quick. So I can use these same marketing materials, just change up the wording more away from your house didn't sell and that kind of stuff to more of first contact, right? It's
totally
just as powerful, right?
Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Facebook. I run ads on Facebook. Facebook is fine. But it's just a piece of the pie. It's not the pie.
Right. It's one of several channels.
Exactly. You have to have 3-4 good lead generation funnels to make sure that the leads come in on a predictable, repeatable basis. So Facebook is fine. The only trouble you're going to run into, it's expensive. Facebook is raising, the rates are going up like crazy. It used to be 20, 30 cents a click. Those days are gone. So be ready to spend some cash, you know, but it still works. I have nothing against Facebook. It's just, it cannot be the sole source of your business, because no matter what the source is, if you put all your eggs in one basket, you're setting yourself up for a big whoop ass.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And then it's just a matter of working the leads that are what I call the high probability leads, who are most likely to convert. You know, you work new expireds, you work old expireds. Even in a hot market, that's the cool thing. The system you have works just as well with old expireds.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I see a lot that expired months ago that never relisted.
Great source of leads.
So I guess it.
Great source. Work them. Get in touch with them. Use the same approach. Use the same materials. Everything stays the same. The only thing you modify is that first dialogue. Instead of saying, "Am I the first one?" You say, "Are you still getting calls from agents?"
Right.
That's it.
Because they're probably not. Yeah.
Probably not. But even if they are, it doesn't matter. As long as they have not relisted their lead. Here is why.
Yeah.
Think about the logic in that.
The dream hasn't changed.
Just because the property hasn't sold doesn't mean their plans have changed. Sometimes, but not always.
Right.
You know, there always is that possibility. They're always thinking, well, what if? What if we could get a good price for it? And that's all you got to do is get that curiosity going. Rekindle that flame, you know?
Right.
So there will always be expired. Yeah, so go after them. Go after FSBOs. I know you have FSBOs in your area. Work them.
Okay.
Work 'em. They're a fantastic source of listings, because most of them don't sell. They end up listing. Now, in your area, the numbers will probably be different, but it varies from about 60 to about 80% end up listing with an agent. I did an interview with FSBO, which is a big website that lists for sell-by owners, where FSBOs for a small fee promote their properties. They tracked it down. They say 70% list with an agent in 30 days.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So work them. Work your sphere. And even as a newer agent, you know, you don't have a huge list of past clients, that's fine. Just work the people you have, the connections you have. That can be your neighbors, that can be your friends, your college buddies, all that is fine.
Okay.
That's it, that's all you need. Maybe throw in an open house, do a little online advertising, do some Facebook ads, you're good to go.
Yeah? I think that's it. I think that's all exactly. That's all that's necessary. And then from there, then referrals and
yes.
You know,
now, the cool thing is, referrals you can generate now. You don't need past clients for referrals, because there are already people around you who will be moving, who know you and who trust you.
Yeah.
Your job is to nourish and nurture the relationship and connection with them. Right. Because according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 12% of Americans will move this year. This will be over 35 million people. Wow. So let's say you have 200 people in your sphere of influence. That's about 40 people out of that pool who will move or know somebody who will move. So if you tap into that network, if you build, and these need to be genuine, authentic connections with them. But if you do that, there's tons of business that can flow your way. No question about it.